Melanie here, and I am coming to you with a wrap up. I hope the lighting's okay in here. It's a little bit shadowy just because it is pitch black out really early and it is snowing, and so there's no light. I usually like to have a little bit more light happening. I wanted to talk about the two books that I did read that I absolutely loved. I rated them both very high, and I just want to kind of go over, oh, I forgot my notebook. Just one second. Okay, I'm back. I have my notebook. I'm ready to go. Okay, so of course I want to talk about Court of Swans by Melanie Dickerson. You guys would have seen this in, or will be seeing it in the vlog. I ended up swapping out the prompts for this book and the one that I'm going to be wrapping up right now. Regardless of the matter, let's talk about this beautiful book. I love the cover. It is just so gorgeous. Melanie Dickerson gets the most amazing covers. Like, really. Thomas Nelson, you're so good to her. I know that they do the photos and then they make it look beautiful, and they're so breathtaking to me. I love these covers. The only downfall of all these covers is the fact that they don't match. I put this book in the rest of them. Here's the footage. Yeah, they really, really don't match, and that annoys me. I don't know if that's like my ADD happening, but it really, really annoys me. I don't know why, but because I think of her books all as one, as opposed to like the series that they kind of are in. I am expecting them to be like, I don't know, look pretty on the shelf together. This follows, it's the Derricotte Tales, and it's a spin-off of her other book called The Songbird. And I can't remember how the title goes, and all my books are downstairs. I have my books like all over my house now, so I don't have them just in one area, which I wish I did have a huge library, but I don't. Anyways, it's a spin-off of that book, which I thought was really fun. If you watched my highlight or like my updates as I was going through Goodreads, you would have saw that. Like, I realized it at one point and I was like, I'm such a fangirl. This is why I love Melanie Dickerson's books, because everybody is together. They have a story and it spins off, and so you know that the characters that are in this book are going to pop up somewhere, and we're going to learn about them, and we're going to know who they are, and we're going to just get all the good stuff about them. So this is the thing that I just adore in Melanie's writing. Not only that, her faith and the message of hope and our nature of who we are and like where we're going. Like, I don't know if I wrote it down, and I did. So I'm gonna go to my notes just because I find it easier now. It's hard for me to remember things. Okay, so I said, love the story reference to the Swan Princess. So I saw in a couple comments about her and the book reviews that they were like, well, like the pacing of some of the aspects that they were kind of hoping not to be so slow. But if you read the original story of this one story, it is like that. And so the boys don't really do anything, and the onus is on this sister who is literally the only person trying to attempt to do something. In that aspect of the original story compared to Melanie Dickerson's retelling of it, I found the main character not as proactive in a sense, but also relating to kind of how the story should go. So yeah, it's kind of, if you read the original story, you might be relating some of the aspects, and some of the aspects might be like, oh, they don't really match. But that's the whole point of a retelling. So I wasn't upset with that at all. And actually, I found that halfway through the book, there was more action in that area. So I think that it was totally fine. It didn't bother me at all, that pacing for the boys and their actions and the brothers and what they were doing. I mean, think about it. They were stuck in jail. What point of the story could you get more information of them being stuck in the jail? So based on that aspect and that negative sort of comment, I can't really relate to, because it didn't bother me as much. I can see how the two stories aligned and how original Melanie made her retelling. It's basically the sum of what I just tried to explain. My mind is always all over the place. Sorry, guys. That's why there's so much editing in my videos. I have to apologize ahead of time for those. And the fact that I say like all the time. I really admire her writing about different dangerous situations and how to look at and for the characteristics that are not healthy in men. So Melanie does this in her writing, and I so appreciate it. I wish that I had these kinds of book when I was a teenager. And actually Angela also said that when we used to gush over her. And it really is the truth, because Melanie has some great wisdom and great insight, and she plays that out in her books. And part of that is like, yeah, toxic relationships. And that is such a great topic right now in the world. You see it popping up all the time. And I think it's a really relevant subject to be in these books. And I think it's great for us to read that. I think it's good to see the difference between a very toxic person as opposed to a healthier version of one, and how their responses are and how their reactions are and how easy it is to be misguided. I mean, as the reader, you're not, because you're seeing everything, but as the character that's in the story, it would be difficult to understand and see where things are, and are their intentions truly noble? Are they truly genuine and of good, honest character? Or are they just trying to get something out of you? Are they just trying to manipulate you or deceive you? And it's really a good topic, and Melanie does so well in a lot of her books, especially the recent ones. I've noticed that she's really kind of brought and highlighted those aspects in her books. I also liked how the main character was flawed. Like, she was questioning God in a genuine way. She was really like unsure of things because of all the bad stuff. And how often is that really the case? Like, we can look at all the bad things and be like, God, where are you? You know, and feel guilty about asking those questions, but really they're how we feel. And we're only seeing a portion of what we're experiencing and not, you know, that faith aspect has to kick in. But it's just really interesting how Melanie does that, and she brings it to such a realistic equivalent in her novels, in her characters, and you see that very well written. I really appreciate that in her writings. Okay, so one of the negatives, and I hate saying anything negative about Melanie because she is literally my favorite author ever, and it could be me because I'm just getting back into reading as much as I was, but I wasn't connected to the two main characters as I normally would be in her writing. So, and I really don't know I can't put my finger on it. I really don't know what it is, but I just wasn't feeling that connection. And actually, I think it was Sir Geoffrey that I had a hard time with, just because he was just, I don't know, I'm not sure what it was, but there was just this lack of connection for me. And again, like, I don't know what it is. If you guys have read this book and you felt that way, let me know, because it probably is just literally me. That is the only thing that kind of bumped it down from a 5-star to a 4.5 star. Yeah, that's basically all I really want to say about Melanie's books. Like, again, it was incredible. A great way for me to get back into reading was having one of my favorite authors of all time. And I will always buy her books. They're that good to me. I just absolutely love them. And so, yeah, if you're a fan of Melanie Dickerson, please let me know. She is my favorite. And I am needing to catch up. I have literally all her books, except for the ones I talked about before, but it's The Peasant's Dream. the second and third one that's coming out in this one, but the second one I can get. There's 2 other books, Perilous. There's a couple other books anyways. I will be getting them all eventually, but I am really, really, really trying not to buy books right now. I want to read the books that I have because I literally have enough to read for another year and a half if I wanted to. And those books will always be there to buy. And I am keeping a list of my TBR that I do want to buy. I literally have a cart on Amazon that is full of my books. I think there's like $1,000 worth of books there. Anyways, I keep a tab on what I want and I do all that. So I will eventually get those books. But right now I really want to just save some money and be wise and stick to the books that I already have. I also plan on taking a few books that I own that I don't want to read, that I bought and I thought I would want to read, but you know, I'm not going to. So I'll probably do a video on an unhaul. On to the next book. I don't have this book in physical copy, but I will post the picture up here so you can see. And it is by Lisa TerKeurst. It's Forgiving What You Can't Forget. I have a lot of notes on this. I'm going to really try keeping it to the basics and not ramble as much as possible. This book was so good, okay? But it is good and it is okay. And I'll explain what I'm talking about in just a second. I got more out of the last 2 chapters of the book than the entirety of the actual book. Okay, so it was good for most of it and it was great for the last 2. And the reason why it was great for the last 2 chapters is because that's where you really found the scriptures and the Bible study and the applicable application, like the applicable information that you can really dive deep into and get like Bible-based scriptures to really like benefit you and to help you in the situation, like the practical stuff. It was basically a memoir of her history, of her life, with aspects that you can kind of grab onto in biblical basis that you can kind of lean into. But I wouldn't say it was practical and like, she had mentioned some of her experiences with her psychologist or therapist. And through those experiences, those were extremely beneficial to hold on to and to apply to your life going forward. Because, you know, to be realistic, and maybe this is just me, but like I've already understood the fact of forgiveness because I'm a Christian, right? And so I know that there's a need to forgive, and it is really difficult. What I really liked about her book was how she kind of mentioned the forgiving the impact. And this is where her experience with her therapist came to play, and some of the practical things that they worked through. That to me was really, really good. Just some of her other stuff was really good for context as you went into the last 2 chapters. So basically what happened in her life, there's a book that kind of preludes this, and that is It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. And she talks there about her, the devastation of knowing that her husband had committed adultery. And then her experiences through a life-tumulturing time of how that impacted her body and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to read that. But so I'll have more to say about that book later on. But this one is more about like so then they reconciled, her and her husband.
But that process, yeah, I'm busy. I'm literally recording right now. Oh, so now you're gonna get my recording. Anything you have to say? Hello world. Okay. Bye.
Now I've lost my train of thought, but that happens a lot. And I can't even like rewind this. So it happens when you have 5 kids, you get interrupted all the time. Oh, her reconciliation and what this book is really about. So basically it's, yeah, she reconciled with her husband and it was a process. It was a few years process. I was really interested in this book because of all that. I wanted to see what her perspective was and to see if there was anything tangible that I can take with me going forward. And that was the key, is like, okay, yes, I know we forgive and I have forgiven and I'm a woman that loves to forgive, but how do you live with such and such? How do you function? What is the next step? And where is the fine lines of forgiving but not being used, and like, you know, where the boundary lines kind of, you know. And obviously I need to read other books about boundaries and different things like that, because I think that they're really important and really great to know. But how does her exact experience play into those things? And so I was really interested to hear her take on it. And for that matter, like that alone was really fun to read. Okay, but the tangible aspects was the last 2 chapters, really. So it was nice to know and to kind of be able to relate to her story and to relate to her past history, and some of those things kind of stirred up stuff in my heart that I was able to walk through God with. But it wasn't, you know, I think I just wanted a little bit more from it than I did get from it. But those last 2 chapters were golden, and I'm going to work through those scripture verses. I get to pray over them and work them out and them in my heart, and I'm really excited about that process. So that Bible study aspect at the end there was just really worth getting the book and hearing her story. It's always nice to hear someone's story and their testimony and what God has done in their life, and that is really a precious thing. So all in all, I didn't even need to look at my notes. I will be rating it like a 3, and I want to say like 3.75 stars if I could. You know, it's not quite a 4, but it's not at all a 3. It's like just 4, almost there, but it's not really there yet. Anyways, that's it for my wrap up, was those 2 books. I really enjoyed them. I am so glad I got to read them. I'm so happy my library had that book. I also have the other books right now, and so I will be reading It's Not Supposed to Be This Way, but I'm not sure if see, that's a lot of information. I already have a lot of information to go through this one, and I want to work through the scripture verses and do some heart work first before I go into that one. And I feel like I'm already over that part, you know, I'm already kind of past that. So I don't know, I feel like this book was definitely a must read for me at this moment in my life, but the other one is kind of not sure if I want to yet. We'll see how it goes. But the next books I am reading, you guys know about. You'll see it in my vlog anyways, and it's Heartless and The Royal. I will be reading those 2. I'm really excited about those books. And yeah, it's not a lot of books, just 2 books, but I'm so proud of myself for doing that. And if you're like me and you're struggling with your reading, don't feel bad. Like, just read as much as you can and as little as you can, and just do a little bit at a time. I saw a writer friend on Twitter say, you know, she only has a few hours of reading, and that's not what she's used to, but she's so excited that she gets to read that little bit, and she's going to take it and be excited and have it for the win, because reading is important. And to
second interruption.
I wonder how long this video is. I guess I only can have about 10 minutes before I get an interruption. I might even leave that in this. All right, so that's it for me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful time reading, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.